My name is Trevor, and you are listening to Shieldme Radio Episode 1. All right, everyone, welcome. How are you doing today? Once again, my name is Trevor, and we are going to be discussing games. So this is kind of an offshoot of the podcasts I had in the past. Well, actually, there was a couple, but don't worry about those. On my YouTube channel, which this is going to be going on my YouTube channel and iTunes. On my YouTube channel, I had a podcast that I had previously started called Games and Anime. And I am actually going to go ahead and split that into just this one. Anime discussion will still go up on the YouTube channel, but the podcast is going to be purely about games and game-related discussion. I just wanted to make sure that the podcast was a little bit more focused because I felt like it was kind of lacking in that area. I felt like it was a little too broad. I really like anime, I really like games, but I feel like that's kind of a much smaller audience, and I definitely want to keep the podcast nice and open to other audiences. I don't want it to be only for people that enjoy games and anime. So, we're going to be talking about games. I have been passionate about games for a very long time. I guess we could do a little bit of a history here. So, I started... I was probably 2 or 3 years old, I think, when my dad brought home a Nintendo Entertainment System to my siblings and I, which I think I only had 2 siblings at the time, 2 younger brothers. And we played things like Duck Hunter and Super Mario Brothers and some racing games that I forgot the names of, but they were very, very fun games, and we played them here and there when our parents allowed it. From there, I don't think we got a game system until the Nintendo 64 many years later. Zelda Ocarina of Time was a big deal there. There was a dirt biking game I forgot the name of that was also a big part of the Nintendo 64 for me. And some other games. It was a long time ago. I don't really remember. Zelda Ocarina of Time is what really stands out to me. But moving on from there, I think it was an Xbox, the original Xbox, Halo, things of that sort. After that, I was in junior high or middle school, whatever you want to call it, and my friend was like, hey, do you know what Steam is? And I was like, what are you talking about? What's Steam? Do you know what Counter-Strike is? No, I have no idea what Counter-Strike is. Oh my god, this game is amazing. And PC gaming began. Actually, no, I need to back up a little bit. Before that, around the age, I think I was in 2nd grade, I want to say, in primary school or grade school. And someone showed me, no, I don't even think someone showed me. My brothers and I somehow found a game called Runescape, little known browser game called Runescape. It was Runescape Classic at the time. I think we found it through an advertisement or something. I don't know. We played it. I had no idea what was going on. My brothers had no idea what was going on. I very distinctly remember not knowing that different worlds were different servers and thinking that every single time I logged in, I was on a different part. I was in a different world in the game and like on a different part of the map. And we played it so little that we played it like with such large breaks in between because my parents didn't really allow us to play games very much, that I remember never knowing where I was when I logged in and always thinking I was in a different place because I could never remember what world I had previously played on so many days or weeks ago. So that was kind of interesting. And then kind of 3rd grade or so, my friend introduced it to me again, and at this point it was RuneScape 2, RS2, and the game had come a long ways, and I really did get into RuneScape around that time and played off and on for a while. World of Warcraft happened at some point in the middle or early high school, I'd say, early middle of high school. World of Warcraft happened, and that definitely influenced and kind of molded my online gaming life a little bit. That and Steam, obviously. And that kind of landed me to where I am now, primarily a PC gamer, but of course I enjoy all games. Still a little bit stingy about certain console-only titles like Red Dead Redemption. Still haven't played that. Still really want to play that. I feel like I should just buy it. I think that's playable on the old Xbox, right? Red Dead Redemption, Bloodborne. Would love to play Bloodborne, but I don't have a PS4, so I need to hunt down a friend that has it. But yeah, primarily enjoying PC games. So right now, I am currently playing Civilization 5 and H1Z1. So let's talk about those for a little bit. So if you aren't familiar with the well-known zombie early access game called H1Z1, I'll give you a brief rundown of it. So basically, it's a game that has two different game modes. You have survival and you have battle royale. There's a Japanese book called Battle Royale that kind of plays into what this is about. So it's a very aptly named game mode. Basically, 100 to 200 people drop on a parachute into a map. There are guns and armor everywhere, and you all kill each other until one person or one team is left standing. You have solo, 2-man, and 5-man variations of this Battle Royale game mode. On the other side of the spectrum, you have survival, and survival mode entails base building, going out finding items, and raiding other people's bases. But, it's called survival because there are zombies in there as well. And the zombies are actually pretty potent. Not really as bad as the DayZ mod, I would say. DayZ mod, the zombies could really run at you and overwhelm you if you weren't very good at the game. H1Z1, they're not quite as fast, but there's a lot of them, and they can really get a hold of you. So I play both variants. The one that I spend the most time playing, I'd have to say, is probably survival right now. I definitely need to play more Battle Royale to get better at the game, but for these days, it's mostly survival. We do have kind of slightly big news happening in the H1Z1 realm. So the game is currently in early access, and I believe they've been charging $20 for the game. And as of February 17th, the game will be split. So Battle Royale is going to be its own separate game, and Survival is going to be its own separate game. I don't know the exact names, but Battle Royale is going to be something like King of the Hill, and then the survival mode is going to be something like Don't Die, H1Z1 Don't Die. I don't remember the exact name, so please don't quote me on that, but something along those lines. They claim they've been hiring additional developers to help with the development, and they're each going to have their separate developer. I don't know if they call them groups or because it's going to be the same studio. I think it's both going to be Dawnbreak Studios. It's just they're going to split up the development team, so people will be focusing on their own respective game. So it has not been received very well by the vocal minority on Reddit, I should say. I don't actually know what the vast majority of people think about it. I personally think that this will be good for survival. I think this gives them even less excuse to skimp out on continuing development, and even it gives them less excuse to actually slow down development. If anything, people are going to be expecting quicker development now that it has its own dedicated team working on it. So I think this bodes good things I think this bodes well for H1Z1 Survival. So hopefully we get some nice content updates in the coming months after this split happens, which today, I'm recording this on the 10th of February, and so that's exactly 1 week from now. 1 week from my recording date here, the game will have been split. So in the next 2 podcasts or so, I'll probably be talking about what that's like. A little bit controversial just because they do charge for in-game items, in-game skins for items, I should say. So if you already own the game, you will be getting both games after it splits, and the items you have will be duplicated, and so they will be available on both games. However, in the future, when you purchase or get item drops, they will only be on the specific game you're playing, so they won't duplicate over to the other game. Excuse me, sorry. So kind of something that people aren't too happy about, but I think they're handling. I think this is a smart decision, and I think it's the right way to go because they are two very different things. And I think a problem they were having is changing and trying to do balancing in Battle Royale would drastically change things for the survival mode and vice versa, sometimes having very negative effects. So I think this is a good thing. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of Dawnbreak Studio, but you can see that they're trying. I know that they are definitely making a lot of money from the cash shop, obviously, but I think that it seems like they're definitely putting effort into it, and I have high hopes for H1Z1. I guess I have a little more faith than most people. So that's what's happening with H1Z1. As for my personal experience with it, I would compare it kind of to DayZ in that it's kind of a buggy mess still, but there's a lot of potential there. And DayZ has not really come to fruition yet, but there is a studio still working on it, so who knows? That maybe in the next 5 years we'll get a nice playable game out of that. But for now, it's still quite buggy. So I play with one other friend primarily in H1Z1. His name is Beggar, and we get on fairly late at nighttime and play H1Z1 Survival. So we have our bases across the map, and we've been building our bases and collecting items so that we can build explosives, so that we can go raid other people and have lots of loot in our base and feel good about ourselves. Typical zombie survival things. So it's definitely been fun, but right now we're like slightly burned out just because it's rumored. I haven't actually read from a developer or anyone that works at the company that there's going to be a server wipe happening when the split happens, but I feel like it's a safe bet. So we are expecting that in 1 week from now, the servers will be wiped, which means all of our work in progress will be completely wiped and gone, and we will have to start from scratch. And this is kind of an exciting moment because you can build your base wherever you want. Everyone is jumping on to check out the new updates if updates have happened, and it's kind of like an expansion release in a way, like when World of Warcraft releases. It's this huge thing that happens. It's a big event. Lots of people are around to check out the new content. It's kind of like that, just on a much smaller scale. So it's like its own little event, which kind of adds something to it. It's a lot of fun. I guess it's kind of akin to a new season in Diablo or Path of Exile or something like that. So we will definitely be playing and trying to get a new base going on probably a low to medium population server, just because we're not crazy good at the game. So we don't really enjoy getting stomped against huge clans on the higher population servers. But we've been having a lot of fun, I'd say. But that's H1Z1. I could probably go into a little bit more depth later on, but I kind of want to move on and talk about Civilization 5, because this is a very interesting and well-known game, I should add, that I have never touched before. I've had it in my Steam library for quite some time because I do share my Steam library with my brothers, and since we have a shared library, I have quite a few turn-based strategy games that I don't play. I have another brother that's very into turn-based strategy games, but I've never really been able to pick them up and get into them. But I had a friend who was interested in playing it, and we bought it, and I started playing it, and quickly realized I had been missing out on a lot of fun gaming. Civilization 5 is a very fun game. In case you didn't know, I think it has a huge amount of overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and it's been out for is it 5 years now? It might be more than 5 years. So the game's been out for quite a while, and it still feels it doesn't feel like an old game. It feels very good. I'm not sure how much post-launch support it's had, but it feels very polished and very, very good. For lack of a better word there. And I've been streaming it quite a bit here. Civ 5, I actually have a lot of fun streaming it, just because it's a game where I can just kind of focus on the game, and chat is usually trying to help me out, so it kind of accelerates the rate that I learn the game at, just because I'm playing it, looking at chat's like, oh hey, that's what that does. Actually, this is probably a better idea for you right here, and it's kind of nice. Even though there's a little bit of backseat gaming, it's still nice because there's so much to do and so much to learn in Civilization 5. It's actually quite a big help having a group of people guide you through it that have played the game a lot more than I have. So yeah, getting into the turn-based strategy stuff, surprisingly enough. So I've been really having fun with Civ 5, although I haven't played that much yet. I'm still in my first game, so I have quite a ways to go. I think I'm on like turn 170 or somewhere around there. But I'm very quickly realizing that these are going to be very long games, depending on how I play them out. I have been kind of experimenting with the combat in the game a little bit, even though I know there's much more pacifist ways to approach the game. But I've been kind of curious about the combat mechanics, so I've been delving into that quite a bit, just going around attacking people. I'm currently trying to wage war on Rome, and Rome on the easiest difficulty is still proving to be quite the challenge for me. But it's still a lot of fun. It's a really good time, and it's more laid back. I think that's why I enjoy it. It's a very large change of pace from H1Z1 and Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, and other first-person shooters that are very, very fast, very action-packed. You always have to be on the tip of your toes. Whereas with Civilization 5, I can sit back and take my time, think about things, be methodical about things. The music is great. The voiceover work is really good, and it's just a really good time. I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I've only just now gotten around to playing turn-based strategy games. Who knows? Maybe this will open up an entire new world of games for me. Maybe I'll try Endless Legend. Maybe I'll try some of the older turn-based RPG games. Maybe I'll get into the Fallout 1 and 2 and. There's another one I forgot the name of, but there's a lot of turn-based RPG games that I haven't played and I haven't been able to get into. But I do like the idea of them. I just have never given them a good enough chance, I think. And Civilization 5 is opening my eyes in that regard. So maybe I'll go and give those other games a try. But besides that, I haven't been really playing too much. I did get a RuneScape membership. And the reason for that is that RuneScape actually had a major content update. I think it was like 2 weeks ago or so. 1 or 2 weeks ago. Maybe even 3 weeks ago. I'm not actually sure. But a couple of weeks ago, Jagex introduced a new skill to RuneScape called Invention. And one of the big things with Invention is that it offers a new way to get rid of items in the game. And this is important because RuneScape, I feel like, has had this issue over time where the most efficient way to make money in the game is really not what I personally enjoy about the game. The most efficient way to make money in the game is to kill monsters that drop good items, bossing, and merchanting. I mean, that's pretty much it. You can't really go out and do a trade skill of any sort or a gathering skill and make decent money. Like smithing, you used to go and mine your ore and then smelt it and then smith it, and doing that was okay. I don't know if it's always been like this, but at least these days, before Invention was released, it was always faster to go and kill the Queen Black Dragon, kill a Raxor, get a group and do other bigger bosses, and it's just much better money. There is no reason for you to go and mine to collect ore. It's just completely pointless because you can just go make money, buy the materials, and then just do the smithing. And then use other mining methods to get that mining experience faster than you would if you were mining iron and coal and all that business. So Invention kind of helps everything in this regard because it takes items out of the game, which makes items have a little more demand, and eventually those items will go up in price. And so prices have been all over the place in the game. The economy has been shifted drastically and in many different directions, and things like smithing cannonballs were like 5 mil an hour for a certain point in time, which is really, really, I think that's cool. I'm sure prices are going to turn around and stabilize again, but it's kind of cool to see a RuneScape where you can just go and smith things and smelt things. And I mean, you probably can't pick flax, but I think like making bowstrings was good money at a certain point in time there for a little bit, because everyone is dismantling these items and these weapons and trying to get materials for the new invention skill. Now, the invention skill is not open to everyone. It is, I think, what they're calling an elite skill. So it does have hefty skill requirements to be able to begin using the skill, which is a first of its kind in RuneScape. But lots of people spending a lot of money on it regardless. So that's invention, and I like it. I haven't actually trained invention at all, but I like what it's done to the game, at least in the short term. We'll see what invention holds for RuneScape in the future. I'm not exactly sure how long the prices are going to stay as they are, and they have been shifting dramatically and very quickly. But hopefully Jagex can continue to find ways to make playing the game, I don't want to say properly, because you can play the game however you want, but it's definitely annoying when there's a very, very specific way to play the game that is the most efficient, and all the other ways are just leagues behind. I did really like the days where, you went and you killed cows and you got, I might be the only one in this regard. You got cowhide and you went and you tanned it and then you crafted it, and you kind of just did all the steps in the process instead of having a middleman for everything. I enjoyed that, and I looked up to players that did that to get their 99s. Nowadays, it's just make a lot of money, buy everything, go do the last step in the process, and get an amazing amount of XP. So that's kind of what not H1Z1. That's kind of what RuneScape has turned into the past couple of years. But anyway, I feel like I have talked and rambled about RuneScape for long enough. I am going to end the podcast here. This is my first solo podcast, I think, and it's definitely interesting talking to yourself for lengthy periods of time. I will be having other hosts on the show, some temporary, some maybe not so temporary. We will see. I've noticed I say the word too much, so I will be working on that. I think this will be a good exercise for me to work on that. But besides that, this has been the podcast about gaming called Shieldme. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.